Production. Sound Production.
All right, we are live. What's shaking, people? It's your boy Sadot the Gamer.
I can't even. Salutations, what it do? It's Doom Killer HD, all for the do-rag game. Like, subscribe, you know the vibes, baby. We are starting good, sir. Let's go, let's go.
We're off to a great start. What's going on? What's going on, Aka? What's up, Bloody Reckless?
What's good with it, boys? How y'all doing? Casual. What's good, Florida?
Appreciate y'all for hanging out. We're a bit silly bright and early, but
yes, indeed.
You know how we gotta do it.
How you doing today, sir? How you doing?
I'm doing good. I woke up like an hour ago, so I'm refreshed.
I've been up since bright and early, so I'm good to go. I'm nice and refreshed. Got my aqua in the building.
Nice,
there
nice.
You go, Aquatones. Got my aqua in the building, baby. Let's go.
I haven't eaten yet, so I'm wired. All the energy. I gotta do some winter cleaning too. So
I'm not even mad at
you. after stream's over, rest of my day is going to be food and cleaning and watching Netflix.
Lucky you.
Yes, sir. Oh yeah, no family. I'm good. What's up, Corey? What's up, Dean Jr.? So once again, me and Doom Killer HD are back. The last time we were doing this, we were reviewing Venom and the finale of What If. This is going to be an ongoing thing. You guys seem to enjoy the live format version, so we're going to be doing a live discussion. This time we are focusing on Marvel's Eternals, which, to put it lightly, has been the talk of the town.
Yeah.
A lot of opinions about Eternals. Many of them not great, but
Many of them.
we're going to be breaking it down. We're going to be talking about the movie, what we thought about it, and everything like that. And there's definitely going to be some takes. I'm actually one of the people who walked out of the theater and had a positive experience. I actually enjoyed the movie, despite my very, very low expectations. Doom Killer thinks differently. So we're gonna.
I was one of the ones who walked out of the theater like, what? Okay, all right, I get it.
So
that's how I walked out of there.
So we're gonna start off. So in that case, we're gonna start off with Mr. HD. Overall, what were your thoughts on Marvel's Eternals?
Now, you know I like to do fire or trash, which is actually really hard when you think about it, because you only have two options. There's no in between.
It completely removes nuance. Yeah.
Right. So if I was to actually rate the movie, I would have to say it was fire because of the lore that it adds to the Marvel universe.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything that happened in that movie really pushes things forward in the MCU. Like as far as, like people not being scared of, not even gonna say scared, but people not being shocked that aliens are walking around, or, there's big anomalies happen and they're just like, okay, this is a regular day. Which if you go back to 2008 Iron Man or whatever, people were tripping out off of Tony Stark flying around in New York.
Yeah.
Now there's, buildings dropping and people are just like, oh, okay, cool. This is another day. So for that fact alone, I'd have to give the movie a fire. But man, this movie was mid as hell, bro. I'm so sorry. This movie was mid as hell, dog. I almost fell asleep. I watched the movie twice. I had to watch it twice. I go to see the movie by myself first, and then I take my daughter the second time around. I just go the first time to make sure it's kid friendly and know when I can cover her eyes or whatnot. You know what I mean? And bro, the second time around, she literally had to wake me up. She had to wake me up. Like, you snoring, Daddy? You're snoring. And I'm like, oh God, in the middle of the movie, bro. So that's how I felt about it. It was great action. Some of the action scenes was awesome. Icarus was a monster. Makari, the speedster, is the best thing. She's it. Makari is it. You know what I mean? I like Druig a lot. I like I can't think of Fastos. I like him a lot. But the two best things, we're gonna get to that later. But it was a mid movie, bro. Like I did not walk out of there like stoked like I did with Shang-Chi. You know what I mean? It was very mid, bro. Your thoughts, sir? What did you think?
Interesting. So I had the opposite. So I only saw it the one time, but when I came back, I thought that I said this on Twitter. I thought it was one of the top 20, top 10, arguably Marvel movies that I've seen, and that was saying something because I went into it assuming it was going to be just the worst thing. I thought it was actually going to be worse than Black Widow, which I thought at the time it was the worst Marvel movie by far, even worse than Captain Marvel.
Right.
Because everything was setting up to me for this to be like a complete disaster. The obviously the aggressively woke marketing, the ticking the check, just ticking all the diversity check boxes with the casting, the really underwhelming first trailer. Then I saw the critic reviews rolling in, and when I saw even the shows weren't liking it, I'm like, well, this could be horrible. But then I saw the audience scores, I'm like, and then Paul Tassi gave a good review, so I was like, all right, well, let me see what's going on. I'm going to assume it's bad, but we'll see. I'll have an open mind like I usually do, and I actually liked it. So when I saw it was 2 hours and 37 minutes, I was like, oh Jesus Christ. and because I had just seen Doom not that long ago, and so
Right.
and I usually limit my 3 hour near runtime movies to one per year, but but I'm like, well, I got to see Eternals, so we'll see. Funny enough, I did not fall asleep one time, not even close, through Eternals, but I fell asleep during the third act of Shang-Chi because it was boring as hell.
It was prettier though.
It was pretty, but the exposition, all the extra stuff, like it was boring. Whereas Eternals, they kind of front loaded a lot of the exposition and the backstory to the point where once you hit the second act, it pretty much was just boom, 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 boom. It was just going. It was just going. It was just going. It was going. And
Oh, man,
I enjoyed the and the third act was really good. Like it could also be part of the unconventional way Chloe Zhao directed the movie, because it very much did not follow the Marvel formula.
No.
Sometimes definitely to its detriment. Like when people say this is not a typical Marvel movie, I think they maybe went a little too extreme. I actually be curious to see the Chloe Zhao cut, because it feels like there was sometimes like a conflict between her vision and the studio's vision, because they clearly obviously wanted it to be a Marvel movie, obviously because it's a Marvel movie, but Chloe had kind of a different way that she wanted to interpret it, and it definitely showed in the editing and how, you know, you had some Marvel-ish aspects, like, you know, the forced humor, everyone has to be quippy. They brought in I think Kango was supposed to be the comic relief, but that played by Kingo, played by Kamal Nanjiani, but you know, he did not say a funny thing the entire movie, but his partner was pretty much all the humor of the film, and that was definitely a breath of fresh air. I enjoyed that part, but can
I interject real quick so I don't lose this thought? To what you were saying, I definitely agree about the format of this movie not being a particular Marvel format, but I think I'm not gonna say I like the movie, but I think this movie was a necessary movie for the franchise. Like I said, the way that it brought everything forward in like real time did at the same time. You know what I mean? Like as you were saying, it was not traditional the way it cut out, and like especially with the acts, the way the acts played out in the horrible comedy, as you were saying. Mm-hmm. But the way it's structured, and by the time of the movie, you're like, okay, that was needed, and I get it. It was fire, I guess. You know what I mean? But I still didn't like the movie.
Yeah. So I in fact did enjoy the movie. I thought I prefer, maybe because I'm burned out almost on Marvel. Like I was expecting just this woke SJW garbage, and I think what really did it for me, Eternals, was it was subtle in a lot of ways, and actually took itself seriously and seemed to respect the characters. Like Red Guardian and Black Widow, that was the typical
Taskmaster.
That was typical what I would expect. You know, left wing feminist BS. You know, where they can't have a good character. Like they have to disrespect the male character in order to bring up the female characters. Whereas in Eternals, no, they didn't shy away from the fact that even though Cersei was supposed to be the main character, she wasn't just this strong, hear me roar woman. I don't need anybody's help. I can do everything right. You know, she and everyone else were flawed, multi-layered characters, even though she was given the role of leader by Ajax. she wasn't sure of it. Everyone was still looking to Icarus. Icarus was kind of the reluctant leader because he was powerful. And then, obviously, spoiler alert, he turns out to be the main villain. But even the way that they presented his dilemma was actually interesting and compelling. And because this was a guy who was dedicated to his duty. His duty was to serve the greater good, birth the Celestials, help other life grow. Whereas everyone else were having, second thoughts, but he was so committed to his duty that he was willing to kill someone he deeply cared about.
Now, see, that's the one thing I did like about the film.
Consequences.
It was a great, no, not even that. It was a complete gray area film.
Exactly.
There was no real villain of the film when you think about it. I mean, Icarus wasn't the villain. He was doing what he was
supposed to do. Yeah.
To do. You know what I mean? Everybody else actually kind of fell off and let their emotions guide them, where he did not have. Well, he did let his emotions guide him as far as Cersei was concerned.
Right.
But as far as his duty and what he was supposed to do, he was like, this is our job. And I understand that Earth may be in peril, but that's one planet compared to the billions of lives that we are about to make. And that actually had me a little stuck. So I actually felt Kingo when he was like, I'm not gonna help y'all. You know what I mean? I can't help y'all. I don't want to hurt y'all. And if y'all succeed, y'all succeed. You know what I mean? I don't agree with it though. I actually agree with Icarus and Erisham. You know what I mean? So the movie, as far as gray area is concerned, I think the director and the actors nailed it, because everybody in that movie was conflicted except for Erisham. He was the only one that was, this is my law, this is my thing, y'all are tripping.
And even in the end, Erisham was at least willing to hear them out when he grabbed the Eternals. He was like, well, I'll use your memories to pass judgment.
So that even put him in the gray area. You're right. So, I give her props for that. She killed it as far as not like who do you blame for this movie? You know, as far as who do you hate in this movie?
Even the Deviants were given some actual nuance to because when before we're thinking, they're just the monsters and it's like, oh no, they're actually, and as the Deviant evolve, came to realize this, which I wish they would explore. This is a problem that I'll get into, but it was still an interesting idea where they realized, the Deviants and the Eternals are essentially in the same boat. The Deviants were made for a reason, to get rid of the apex predators of the world so that intelligent life could thrive. But at the end of the day, they were just themselves trying to survive, and the Celestial and the Eternals were sent to exterminate them. And they were just at the end of the day, they're just creatures trying to live,
doing what they were supposed to do, like exactly like you said, like the Eternals. They were there to exterminate the apex predator. Once they became the apex predator because of their evolution, they were, I don't know if y'all could see it, if y'all seen the movie, when I watched, I didn't notice it until the second time around. When they were attacking the dinosaurs, they were like, you know how he sucked Ajax's power up? Yeah. They were doing that to the dinosaurs. That's how they became apex predators themselves. They were evolving and taking on their forms and whatnot like that. So when the humans came around and humans were birthed, they just did what they were supposed to do, was erase the apex predator, which was the humans at that point. So when the Eternals come down and go to erase them, they're like, "What? Why y'all doing this?" You know what I mean? I'm here to do my job. Why y'all attacking me? So yeah, the gray area in that was, I thought the gray area was good, but it just wasn't executed well, or the storytelling just wasn't.
Yeah, I'll get into what didn't work in the next segment. Actually, the segment after next. So because right now I want to get into specifically what you did in fact like about the movie. And yes, chat, we're aware that that Marvel's Avengers released the image of Spider-Man, and that IGN is dropping a trailer for them tomorrow. I'll get into that in another video, maybe today, or I'll cover the trailer tomorrow. But yeah, go ahead, Mr. Doomkiller HD.
What I liked about the movie, I thought the acting was great. I liked the fight scenes, man. Marvel has been killing superhero movies has been killing it, period, with fight scenes lately. I thought the Makari fight scene against Icarus was the best speedster fight scene that I've ever seen. Dude. That was vicious. It was literally Superman versus Flash, but done right. You know what I mean? So I thought that was awesome.
I was actually in the theater when she was fighting Icarus. I was like, woof, woof.
Yeah. The theater I was in the first time, it was actually a little bit more packed than when I went with my daughter, and they were like, people were just jumping like, oh, yo, so it got a huge pop when she did that. I loved this Fato. I can't pronounce his name.
Festos.
Right. Festos' son. His son was just too cool, dude. You're Superman. You had the cape on. I was just like, that would have been me, you know, as a kid and not a Saw dude.
Definitely.
That would have been me. I thought he was awesome. I thought Kringo's butler was just the light of the whole show. I thought Icarus was just too cool for effing words, bro. His character, his power distance. Yeah. Like, cap real quick. I thought he was done right, bro. Everybody was done right. It was a good movie as far as visuals, as far as acting is concerned. It was good as far as that. I think my favorite part of the movie was when they all became the hive mind thing. That because it was shocking, like, because you could see that Icarus didn't want to do it, and he was kind of forced upon him. And you're looking at Sprite, and she's just like, "Oh, really?" And she goes into the air, and I thought that whole little scene, because of the conflict, the gray area, they don't want to do it, but they have to do it no matter what. I thought that was cool. I thought the storytelling. We'll get into that. What did you? I know you liked the entire movie. So what was your? I guess I would say your favorite aspects of the movie, boss.
I've seen people criticize the effects and the CGI, but I thought the photography was very well done. I thought Chloe Zhao did a really good job with the sweeping landscapes, especially when they showed, you know, ancient Babylon and all these, you know, historic cities. I thought they were just some incredible visuals in those moments. And of course, Makari was just goated.
Goated.
I wish she wasn't so underutilized, but this is the way they portrayed super speed in this movie was absolutely incredible. I absolutely loved it. I don't see the people that were criticizing. I don't see what they were seeing. I thought it was done incredibly well. Like they really perfectly captured super speed in combat without, you know, the gaudy slow motion that you saw in, you know, Snyder's Justice League. Like it was probably the best portrayals of super speed I've seen was the fight in Man of Steel with the Kryptonians, how they portrayed supersonic movement, and what Makari was full of was awesome. Now the acting, there were some good performances which I definitely appreciated. Others not so great, but I appreciated. I really enjoyed some of the characters and their dilemmas. Like I thought Drew's story was particularly really captivating, and I actually thought that should have been potentially the focus of the whole movie, and he would have made potentially a really good antagonist as well. Like his having the ability to control people's minds, but having the directive to not do it was very interesting, especially when especially the idea of him, going off on his own, creating his own little utopia where he could do it his way, and then come to realize that his method doesn't solve the fundamental issues and actually help. I thought that was pretty interesting, especially when he was essentially using the villagers as cannon fodder at one point, and he was made to realize that this is kind of this is kind of messed up. I thought that was
cared about him, bro.
I thought that was really good.
He showed it. That was good.
The relationship between Gilgamesh and Athena was I thought absolutely fantastic, and the heart of the movie, like Cersei and Icarus had the chemistry of wood. I didn't see it, especially that sex
her and Dane
sex scene
Whitman too, though.
Yeah,
like that was bad.
Yeah, but
go ahead.
But I was actually rooting for Gil and Athena. I thought that was really sweet and well done how they showed their relationship. I wish they could have spent even more time on that, and because it was really hard. It was really heartbreaking. I mentioned this before, but consequences. We're so used to Marvel movies having no consequences,
Right.
and even worse. And this is one of the criticisms of the new MCU and Phase Snore, is that not only are there no consequences, their poor actions are actually justified. Like in WandaVision, where Wanda got to essentially abduct an entire town and torture them for extended period of time,
cool.
and then at the end, the message was, they'll never know what you sacrificed for them. You're the hero. I'm like, are you though? You're kind of the villain here. Like,
yeah. Like at least at that point, she is pretty. I ain't gonna say comic accurate, but more of her comic self, because she's pretty conflicted in the comics as well. So.
At least story wise, at least acknowledge what she just did.
No. Spectrum is like, you're the best thing ever. I'm just like, no, she just hurt a bunch of. These people are traumatized. You know what I mean? But
even Agatha was just in it just for information. At the end of the day, she was just chilling. She was just.
Really?
So I appreciated that instead of the obligatory let's just rush to get to the Skybeam fight between two characters with the same powers, Chloe Zhao was just like, let's actually just have some actual nuance. Like instead of beating the comically bad person or the person with the same power as me, let's actually have some interesting. They essentially have to, instead of defeat the bad guy, they have to defeat themselves in their entire mission. And that was actually all the way up to the end. That was a real conflict. It's like, okay, well, in order to quote unquote win, we have to commit a murder, and we have to doom countless worlds from being potentially born to save this particular one. And I thought that was a very interesting concept, and the actual scene itself was spectacular. Just visually, it looked incredible. Like this giant celestial coming out of the ground,
dude. Yeah, that part right there is a big plus for Phase 4, because now that's a part of the Earth's landscape. You have a dead celestial, and a stone celestial in your landscape in the waters of India, dude. So like that's dope. You know what I mean? Like what do people think about that? You can see it on the news, the little news show at the end of the movie, like, there's a giant stone creature in the middle of the ocean. What is going on? And just think about the people who are going to go check that out. What kind of cosmic energy is still based off of that? You know what I mean? So that's huge for Phase 4, bro. That is huge for Phase 4. But I still don't like the movie.
Well, on that note, now let's get into why you didn't like the movie. What was bad? What were the bad things about this movie in your opinion?
So I've simplified it. I'm still gonna rant, but I've
Please do.
simplified it. It is the best boring movie I have ever watched, dude. Like, because, like I said, because of the ramifications of this movie is to me is what make it good, and the end credit scenes. But I know we're gonna get to that later.
Mhm.
The ramifications of this movie is what makes it good to me. Like, the humor was horrible. Kingo himself, I liked his character, but he was bad, bro. He was a bad character. I was like, I'm sorry, dude. When he, he give me some time, and he just slides under the deviant, and he's like, Kupaya. I was like, what in the bro? No. And they like kind of paused on it for a second, like it was supposed to be like his catchphrase. How do you have a catchphrase that nobody knows, though, bro? Like, come on, man. I'm like, no. What else I didn't like? I didn't like just that whole middle of the movie, bro. The trailer part where they're like, oh, what's gonna happen when since Captain Rogers and Iron Man are gone, and that stuff was so boring, dog. That's the part I fell asleep on. I was just like, bro, too much storytelling. I don't need to. Like you did a really good job with the expo in the beginning. That was great. Like, the Star Wars entrance, you know what I mean? And then them showing that their ensemble when they first came down, that was fire. I was like, okay, this is a different movie. But the middle of it, bro, like that, I guess there's 4 acts in the movie, right? Act 2 and Act 3 needed to, like, the whole desert scene when Sprite was doing the why was that there, bro? You know what I mean? Like, they could have at this point, I think this movie should have been a Disney Plus show, bro. And I kid you not, that's how I feel about it, bro. It was a necessary evil to me. Like, I definitely agree with the critics, bro. It was a really lackluster movie. I don't. It needed to happen because it really pushed Phase 4 to the max. Like you said, there was no consequences. It was all, everything was just bright and shiny in Phase 4 so far. You've got your beautiful new Captain America and the White Wolf. You've got your beautiful Loki series, and What If is so gorgeous. You know what I mean? It was no real stakes. This right here, you don't know what's going on right now, dude. You got stones coming up. You've got other Eternals that are actually half human. Because Star Fox at the end, we'll get into. I know we're gonna get into the whole setting, but Star Fox is Thanos' half brother, bro. Yep. How is that possible? If that's either a big ass plot twist. I mean, a plot hole, or we need Eternals too. You know what I mean? So like, this movie can. I'm gonna sip some water on this movie, dog. I'm gonna sip some water on this movie, bro. And I know you liked it. You say top 10 Marvel movie. I'm gonna say it's down there with not Thor Ragnarok, Thor the Dark World, Captain Marvel, and what's the other one I don't like? Iron Man 3, bro.
Interesting. All right, so definitely spot on about it needing to be a Disney Plus show, because I think the central problem with this movie was the casting. Now, I read before that the cast of this movie was supposed to be even bigger, and Chloe Zhao cut it down by 2. And I think it should have been cut down even more because we didn't need this many characters, and it definitely showed. Because, and I think that's part of why people like you felt like it was dragging, because because all these characters, had such rich stories and motivations they had to explore. You had this effect where you had your intro exposition, and then you get into the meat of it, but then they have to break up the action to do a flashback to expand on this story, and then most of the movie going forward with them was just them traveling all over the world to introduce this character, and then go to this character. Then we have a flat and back and forth, and the editing definitely didn't help in that regard. Whereas if you just condensed it then you could have focused on, you know, the more important characters. Like I thought I thought it was, obviously, casting aside, obviously we know they did the casting the way they did because they wanted to check off their boxes and be able to say how diverse they were. Because logically, within the context of the story, it literally makes no sense that Arishem would create two characters with dad bods and someone that can't hear, when literally all they have to do is murder deviants and guide intelligent life. Like their power sets, all of that didn't really make a lot of sense if you think about it from what a celestial should be doing here. But it kind of worked for the movie, because if they were all powerful, then it would have made it a bit harder to tell a more grounded story. So the fact that really Icarus, Festus, once he actually started fighting, and Gilgamesh, were Gilgamesh and Athena, when she wasn't losing her mind, were really the only really good fighters. Like Cersei had it. Yeah. Cersei's power is pretty OP, but she's pretty garbage in combat for the most part. You know, right. Sprite had illusion powers, but otherwise pretty useless, especially since the deviants could see through her illusions. Kingo,
and her illusions weren't even tangible.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Kingo could pew pew pew, but most of those were just trash. They didn't really do anything.
I like this Kamehameha though. Yeah. That was fire.
Matter of fact, they could have literally they could have cut Kingo out of the movie entirely, and they would have done nothing. Like he didn't even contribute in the third. He literally just bowed out of at the climax. Like, and it had no effect on the story. Which tells you, like, he was there for the comic relief, and his sidekick was funnier than he was. So there was literally no point in even having him in the movie. Like, I feel like the movie should have been focused around a core group. Sprite had a good character arc, but she ultimately, I mean, had no real purpose in being in the film. I felt
didn't help at all.
Selma Hayek didn't belong in this movie at all. I love Selma Hayek. I love particularly staring at Selma Hayek, but there was really no reason for Ajax to be in the movie, let alone the leader. She was the weakest one there. She had all she could do was heal, and she healed in the most inefficient way possible. And she was barely in the movie. Her whole purpose was essentially to get killed and serve as the plot twist for setting up Icarus's heel turn. Like I feel like they could have just, even if they just kept her in for that purpose, you could have just left it at Festus, Icarus, Druid, Ajax, just so she could get killed, Makari, and you didn't need this huge ensemble cast here. I enjoyed Gilgamesh and Athena's whole thing, but you could have easily cut Sprite and Kingo. it would have done. No one would have cared. Who would have cared?
Nobody would miss them at all.
Who would have cared?
Probably made it a better movie because you didn't have to go into their backstory. So
yeah, it would have streamlined. It would have streamlined it, and focus, because Festus wasn't even in the movie until like later on. Like they introduced.
He was important though. He was very.
But he was important, yeah. and I enjoyed him. But yeah, if you say you have him come in later, you get rid of two of the characters that are essentially dead weight. You kill off Gilgamesh, and suddenly you have a much trimmer, more focused story, and you can explore the ideas. Like they introduced some really interesting ideas. Deviants being able to absorb the powers, not only that, but memories of the Eternals and evolve. That's a very interesting idea they could have explored in a Disney Plus series. You know, Drew I touched on Druid's mind control. Would have been very interesting to explore. You know, we barely got to see Makari. We got to see her be awesome in her speedster stuff, but like, look, we saw her in the flashback. And then we cut to near the end of the movie, and she's just hanging out in the ship with a bunch of ancient artifacts that she stole, and just sitting
like seriously. As I'm gonna be honest with you, Makari is probably my favorite thing in the movie. But she probably could have been X'd out as well. You know what I mean? As far as story is concerned, she wasn't.
But that's the problem, because there was so much going on. They didn't have time to explore it. Like, apparently, her and Druig were a thing, but we didn't.
Not really a thing, but a thing.
Yeah, but we did. They didn't have time. They didn't have time to explore it because they had to introduce Sprite and her BS, and they had to have Kingo and his cringy Bollywood stuff going on. Like we. Dude, there was no time to do anything.
Dance though, bro. On the real, that shit was so. That thing was so trash, bro. That a boy said.
Yeah.
I was just like, come on, Sway.
Like, if they cut some of the characters, they could also have made it more of a Marvel movie in regards to actually showing how they interact with the MCU. Like, they're like, and this is also partly a problem. Like, with the story, Ajax said, hey, Arishem said you can't interfere. She even got on Icarus about this. You can't interfere. But also Druig was allowed to stop a genocide with his mind control powers. So, that was fine. But everything else, Thanos, even though Thanos' plan would directly hurt the Celestial plan, they said, oh, we're just going to let them do it. That's fine. So at the very least, it would have been interesting if they showed what the various Eternals were doing while all these key iconic events were happening in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like, it would have been cool if during the battle against New York, I don't know, a piece of rubble is about to fall on Icarus and Iron Man swoops in and blows it up. And we, the audience, know, oh, he would have been fine. But but to Iron Man, that's just a regular guy. But Icarus was just there, just in case, they needed help.
I'm gonna say this too, bro. As far as plot holes and all of that goes, and okay, they're not supposed to interfere, right? That's their direct thing, is not interfere.
Right.
Then why is Fastos making technology? Why is Cersei in school?
That part is part of the plan. So Arishem gave them their true objective. Arishem which only Ajax and Icarus knew. The true objective was kill the deviants.
I know the true objective. I know that.
Not just that. It was two parts. Kill the deviants so that they aren't going to extinguish the intelligent life. Mm-hmm. Increase the population by advancing them forward with technology.
See, that wasn't nah. That's not. They only two people knew that. Only Icarus and Ajax knew that.
Right.
Nobody else knew that. They were told to not interfere.
But Ajax was their leader, and she was kind of controlling this whole thing. Like, they were there from the beginning. Like, okay, yeah, introduce this, but maybe not that. That's too soon. So she was telling them. She would tell them when not to do something, but she knew in her mind that they could not completely interfere unless deviants were involved, because part of the plan was to make sure the population can grow and thrive so that they could get more energy for the Celestial.
Druig's whole scene make no sense. Then that's what I mean by plot hole.
That's what I mean.
So, yeah.
That's what I mean. Like Druig, like yelling at Icarus and not at Druig. Yeah, that really made no sense. Obviously, Druig's plan ultimately would have stunted the growth, because if you looked at his village, they weren't growing. They were just slaves.
They were kind of to me, what I got from that, they were harmonious but very non-intelligent.
Yeah, they were stunted. They could only do what he allowed them to do. So while preventing a bunch of people from dying is good, permanently controlling them so that they can't so that they're not free to do
They don't
anything.
evolve. Yeah,
Yeah.
his village never evolved.
Yeah,
I feel
they
you, bro.
stayed in a village. So yeah, Druid was ultimately wrong, but they definitely could have showed. But not interfering with Thanos' plan didn't make any sense. And
No.
the probably the worst part of the movie. No, I think the worst part to me was the end when Icarus flew himself into the sun. That was so on the nose and cringe. I wanted to throw something at the screen. Like if it wasn't for the scene right after the scene when Arishem showed up, I'd have been like, bro, what? But just him flying into the sun, I was like, I thought he was about to do a Omni Man. I thought he was about to do an Omni Man, and he was just going to peace out and fly back to Arishem or something. But when I saw him getting to the sun, I'm like, no, they're not gonna. They wouldn't. They're not that. They're hacks at Marvel, but they're not that hacky. They're not gonna have Icarus literally fly into the sun.
Boy who flew too close to the sun. That's what they were going for. He was supposed to be so ashamed and whatnot.
I'm
it's
like,
supposed to go on the
bruh.
Sprite store, bro. But
that was so bad.
Horrid, bro. It was horrible execution. It just was bad, dude. It was bad. It was bad.
Oh, it was so cringe. Oh,
trash.
oh my god, that was so bad.
Yeah,
But it just whole. But other than
why did they even kill him though? Like you said, why he didn't just go back to Arison? You know what I mean?
They didn't have to, or he could have stayed there and tried to make amends. He could have gone with Druid and Makari to find other Eternals. Like he didn't have to kill himself by flying into the fucking sun.
You really making me not like this movie even more now, bro.
So
like, no.
also the end credit scene will touch on that, but Pip's CGI was gross. I'm sorry. Wasn't a fan, but the second end credit scene was dope. So let's get into your thoughts on that second end credit scene, because that mid one was
Yeah, it was lackluster.
but that last one, what are your thoughts on that, sir?
Blade, bro.
Blade,
bro.
Sir.
Like, I mean, do I really need to say any more than Blade? I thought the scene itself was almost cringy because Dane Whitman's character was not that great. You know what I mean?
Kit Harington's a nice actor. I like him. I thought he did well with what he had, but again, because there's 50 characters they have to explore, they couldn't really do much with Dane Whitman. They had to put in the teasers, but they were so like literally the only way you could have pieced together he was Black Knight is if you literally just followed, the movie, the casting and everything before coming into the movie, or were familiar with the comics, because they literally all they had the time was to say, hey, you should make up with your uncle. Oh, and his name's and your name is Dane Whitman. That's literally all they had to go on. and then you get the end credit scene with the sword, and so that's when. But if you're a comic book nerd, you already knew beforehand what it is. So I feel like that end credit scene didn't hit because you really just had to be a comic book, fan to actually get the significance of everything that was happening there. As opposed to the Venom 2 end credit scene where it's like, oh, I know what this is.
Right. But see, the cool thing, the cool thing about the scene, it was that it was so, what's the word I'm looking for? It wasn't like a scene that you just watch and you know what's happening. Like you said, if it was for us, it was for comic book fans, and that's what made me like that scene, because it was like, okay, who is that in the back? Wait, oh snap!
Exactly.
And then it cuts off, and you're like, no, give me more. So that's what I felt about that scene. And I mean, like I said, it was a bit cringy in the beginning of it. I mean, it was like what say the scene was 45 seconds long total.
Yeah.
I mean, the first, he's like, oh, I don't want to touch it. No, should I? dude, grow up, be a man, get some balls in your system. You know what I mean? Go grab the thing, let us see what's popping. So as soon as he pops it and dude is like, he says the line, you sure you want to do this? And you figure out who it is. It was like goosebumps, bro. Theater erupted because I guess I was in the theater with a bunch of Marvel people. It erupted. They were like, "Oh snap!" That's everybody started yelling, "Blade!"
All the nerds,
Blade.
all the nerds.
Yeah.
So, James prefers the term comic book expert. You're a nerd. You're all nerds.
we can hit him with a J Shock blast. I'm a dork.
I'm a dork. I'm a dork, not a nerd. Get it right.
But what did you think about the scene, bro? Fire or trash, and then give me your experts on that, man.
So definitely fire. I definitely always. I mean, I'm always a fan of the credit scenes, but yeah, the mid one was just like, oh, it's Harry Styles and Patton Oswalt voicing another character. Cool. Yeah. But Thanos' brother, that could be interesting if they do something. But yeah, when I found out it was Blade, I was like, So how I wonder how they're going to explore his connection with Whitman. That's an interesting pairing there.
Well, that's actually, I think that's pretty on the nose. So vampires come from ancient times, right?
Right.
So Dane Whitman's uncle and his grandfather and the Black Knight or whatever, they come from the same ancient time. So I'm figuring they're gonna use the ebony blade as more of a like a mystical forces weapon against things like vamps, werewolves, and all of the mystical creatures and things like that. So I actually, to me, that it gives me like a Transylvania type of vibe. You know what I mean? You go back to, I'm pretty sure we're gonna get a bunch of flashbacks in Blade dealing with Dane Whitman's people. Maybe Blade ran, or Blade's people or something.
I get the vibe he's going to be more like a mentor figure for Whitman.
Yeah. No, I'm saying that's what I'm saying. Like he's the mentor for the Black Knights, pretty much. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so
his weapon is a mystical weapon, and Blade is a mystical being. Half vamp, half human.
I just wish we had a more cleaner introduction to Black Knight, because he was just like shoved into this. He
movie. Should not have been in this movie. That end credit scene by itself, take Dane Whitman out the movie, because the relationship with him and Cersei wasn't really. They never even kissed in the movie, bro. They showed more love between Icarus and Cersei than they did with Dane Whitman and Cersei, and that was her current boyfriend. And
they had no love at all between them.
Right, it was fringy as hell. So take Dane out the movie. Just give us that end credit scene, bro. I think personally that would have worked still, because us nerds knew who he was. People who don't watch or don't know who Black Knight is in the comics anyway, still to this second don't know who that character is. So just give us that. They gave us Blade without a real introduction just now anyway too. So just give us that end credit scene without all of the other BS, and that movie would have been take out Sprite, take out Kingo, you know what I mean? Give Makari a little bit more shine, take out Dane Whitman. You've got a way better movie, bro. And then that end credit scene could have still been popping. I don't know. I
definitely agree. So overall, obviously you loved it. What's your final verdict on Eternals?
Okay, what did we do? Normally 1 out of 10, right?
Yeah.
I give a movie a 5. No, you know what? I'm gonna do better. I'm gonna say a 6 because of the progression it caused for the MCU. Like that, it was definitely a needed movie. So I'll give it a 6. It was an okay movie. It's something that if y'all have not seen the movie, wait till it comes on Disney Plus. Do not go to the theaters for this movie, y'all. That's just my opinion. It was a very, very mid movie, but a necessary evil. It's something that you guys should watch, to be honest with you. Just watch it on DVD or on Disney Plus. Yeah. Your thoughts, Big Dog?
I give it a 7. So okay. I thought it was so when I for context, when I typically say a Marvel project is good or bad, I'm talking about for a Marvel movie. I think there are only a handful of Marvel movies that stand on their own as good movies, not good for a comic book movie or good for good for a Marvel movie. And you know, one of them is Captain America and the Winter Soldier. I think that stands on its own as just a good movie, really good movie. But I think most of the Marvel movies, as just pure cinema, pretty mediocre. but they're
good for comic book movies.
But they're very entertaining. They're very well made entertainment. So I can appreciate that. But so I feel like Eternals wasn't. I feel like Eternals had the potential to be one of those select few really good movies, but I think Chloe Zhao was definitely the one to do it. But I feel like the size of the cast definitely ultimately hamstrung the movie's potential. It was just too much of a balance in that. I think she did very well despite that, but if they were able to make it a series or condense the cast list even more, I think this would have been truly something special, like for a Marvel project. But because of that, I think it fell short. I still think it was better than Black Widow, which I thought was horrible. I actually was getting angry while watching Black Widow because of how bad the writing was. That's why I mentioned the importance of subtlety. A lot of the bad stuff, apart from Icarus throwing himself into the sun of Eternals, was subtle. But even their political messaging was a lot more subtle than even Shang-Chi, which literally had Shang-Chi's sister preaching against the patriarchy at one point. Right. So it was like cool. But I thought that unlike those last two, the third act was actually really, really good. I enjoyed how it closed out. So not by no means a masterpiece, but I think it is definitely a solid film that had true potential for a lot more.
Well, we are both in agreement on that, because I do agree that the film is definitely solid, bro. It's solid. Like I said, it's something that you should watch because the progression of the MCU, like you needed this film to happen. And the director, I don't want to try to butcher her name.
Chloe Zhao.
Yeah, the director she did a beautiful thing. Like her cinematography is probably one of the better cinematographies that I've seen in a Marvel movie. Like especially the panning when Makari was running across the desert part, how they panned it like that, and you see her running, but everything behind you is not slow. It's actually moving really fast too. So I thought it was a beautiful movie. It just lacked the impact of being a great film. It was almost there, but I fell asleep. So thank you for.
At this point, we can also go to the chat if you guys have any questions. I see Tricks Ridiculous just hopped in. What's going on?
What up, bro? In the building. What's good with it, Tricks?
What's going on? Incredible Harry gives it a 0 because he didn't see it. Fair enough.
Disney Plus series would have. Yeah, that's what we said, Tricks.
James said MCU has had 3 L's in a row.
Oh, what's the 3 L's, Joe? What's the 3 L's?
I don't think What If was an L.
Not at all. What If was fire.
I mean, it has some.
And I think Shang-Chi was fire too. So
I like Shang-Chi had his problems, but overall, I thought I liked it. Black Widow was definitely an L.
I see, I'm gonna disagree with you on that. I thought Black Widow was pretty mid. I mean, as far as what they did to Taskmaster and what they did to Red Guardian, that was definitely trash. But it was a pretty mid movie. I like the action in it. So long as you
literally the only thing about Black Widow, literally the only redeeming quality of Black Widow was the action. Was the action. I was not with the Yelena simping. She was okay. I don't care. The humor was dog shit. The writing was awful. the plot
was
the plot
fire.
made no sense.
The plot was okay.
Black Widow should have died 100 times.
Yes, she should have.
They reinvented her as a super soldier with no explanation. It made no sense whatsoever.
she was hitting cat moves. Literally flying, jumping off a plane.
She literally fell off a 10-story building and hit every part of it on the way down and got up with a slight limp.
She didn't hit the poles at that, right?
I was like, what is this? What am I watching? Taskmaster literally blew her up with a missile. I'm like, oh, this movie's ending pretty fast. Oh no, she's fine.
James says he didn't like Black Widow, Shang-Chi, and Eternals. 3 L's in a row because I guess it's not really China.
He's going purely for movies. Okay, he's not including the shows.
Well, Shang-Chi is a dub for Marvel. That was a big back to the movies for Marvel for me. I enjoyed it. My kid enjoyed it.
I thought Shang-Chi was solid. I thought the third act was definitely could have been a lot better. But I thought overall it was a solid movie. I had my main problems with Shang-Chi, apart from the third act, with Shang-Chi himself.
Yeah, no, I hear that. Joey Dunno says Jon Snow still knows nothing, bro. That's cool, dog.
He's not wrong.
He's not.
What's up, Brandon, Looney Tunes fan? What it do?
Yo.
It was killed when China blocked it. Yeah, they need that Chinese money. They need those communist dollars to sell those movies.
I guess. He still was pretty big movie though.
I mean, both. Based on the box office, it looks like Shang-Chi and Eternals is not going to make back their budget, which is pretty much unheard of for a Marvel movie.
Oh, really? I thought Eternals was doing pretty good actually as far as box office.
Currently, is a because keep in mind, I think Eternals in particular was like a $500 million movie.
Really?
It
looks like
it's expensive. It's very expensive. Yeah.
It looked like
and right now they're not on track to break even.
Wow. Yo, real quickly, because Trix just made a statement, and I kind of want to play off of that statement before we get off of this thing. He says the Alpha Deviant in Eternals killed me and ended up being nothing.
Agree.
Let's talk about that.
Agree. That again goes into why I thought this should have been a Disney Plus series, or they should have cut more of the cast, because they had a lot of very interesting ideas that they just didn't have time to explore. The deviant evolving, getting their memories, that is an interesting idea, but it ultimately just ended with him just getting disposed of in a mostly throwaway scene just to give Athena an excuse to have her memories back.
Right. Now in comic lore, which is what I think they were going for, the Skrulls are pretty much like descendants of the deviants.
Right.
That's why they can shapeshift and they can gain your memories for a short time once they shapeshift into you, right? At least in the MCU, that's how it works. So do you think maybe that they were trying to like set that up in the movie, and her cut would be a much better cut? You know, the director's cut would be a much better cut, because I have no clue what the damn deviant Alpha is doing in the movie at this point. He literally grew, became ultimately powerful, and then just like literally got his head chopped up in 2 seconds in a throwaway scene to give Athena her powers back. So like, what? You know what I mean? Do you think that maybe in the director's cut they might delve into that, or
it could? That's why I'm curious if the idea of having this Alpha Deviant was Marvel, the studio's idea, or was it Chloe's idea? That's what I'd be curious, because it seems like there was at times conflicting visions between Chloe and the studio, which is common when it comes to big budget films. But it definitely feels like somebody wanted this character in there and wanted to explore it, but they just didn't have the time, and it just didn't make it past the cutting room floor.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I'd be
Makes sense to me.
so I would be
Yeah,
curious
yeah.
to see if there was a bigger plan
Yeah,
here, and that just
yeah, it seems like there was just more explanation about that particular character that needed to be that like this. It just seems like it should have been in the movie. So the way he, went from being a not even an oversized alpha deviant into a literal, talking, speaking person with a conscience and wanted vengeance and knew what do you call that when you have a subconscious. He had a
yeah,
conscience, you know what I
yeah,
mean? So
yeah. When I saw him develop, where my mind was going, I was like, okay, they're either going to have him, because we at this point we knew, once we knew Icarus had killed Ajax. I was like, okay,
yeah,
so either they're setting up this alpha deviant, they're going to have it either be the final boss, and the Eternals are going to have to put aside their differences to deal with this threat, or he's going to get enough of their memories and intelligence where he's going to help them stop the Celestial.
yeah. Well, that's kind of, even if you look at the final fight, that's kind of looked like that's where it was going. In the direction of that fight just changed in the middle of it. Like,
Yeah,
okay, you've got Makari, Fastos, and Athena facing off against Icarus,
yeah,
right? Then the deviant just comes out of nowhere, boom. Then you can kind of see like a split in the scene. Like, then you got Athena saying, "Why are you helping Icarus?" You know what I mean? She's like, "This dude is actually on our side." And then she goes to fight him. Like, that didn't make sense to me. Like,
yeah. Like, why didn't he just stay and help them with Icarus? I don't get it.
yeah, she pushed him off to go fight him. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna go fight him while y'all fight Icarus, instead of all of them just fighting Icarus and him dealing with the deviant after the fact. Because
Yeah,
the deviant didn't want to die either, and they don't
exactly.
want to. They didn't want Earth to die, right?
Yeah,
So they all kind of pretty much had the same goal, but in the middle of that, she goes off to fight him while she's got this silly disease going on. Like,
yeah.
it ain't make no sense.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Trick said going forward, he doesn't think the Eternal story is as interesting as Kang, Loki, Strange, Wanda stuff. I love the Celestial angle is actually very interesting to me, because I love the portrayal of the Celestial. I thought the scale of it was just incredible. The way they showed Arishem was awesome. I am curious about how they're going to handle Kang the Conqueror, but I actually am very interested in the Celestials. But the Eternals themselves, definitely less interested in them overall. But I thought it was very commendable what Chloe was able to pull off, because the Eternals, even the comic book fans, weren't even mid. They're just like, who cares? Like, they're kind of on the back burner, because they functionally serve no purpose within the Marvel universe. Like, they were there to serve as guardians to help protect the Earth, but they're completely unnecessary, and their characters themselves in the comics aren't relatable at all. They're just, these stoic, powerful beings that have really no great personality. They're not particularly compelling. And Chloe changed that aspect, made them at least a lot of them more interesting, except Kingo. He sucks. But Druig was very interesting. Makari is awesome. I thought that there was, I like Festus. It's pretty cool what they did there. So I'm curious to see some of them going forward. But yeah, overall, yeah, it's like whatever. But the Celestials themselves, I think that'd be really cool. It'd be curious to see how they factor in with Kang and potentially the Secret Wars storyline and everything like that.
Well, to me, the most interesting thing about the Celestials, which a lot of it is interesting, but is the fact that, okay, when they are birthed, right, they create all these new galaxies. Not galaxies, because galaxies are within a universe. They actually create new universes. So are those universes?
Well, they're creating more planets, essentially, right? They're not creating them.
No. They said that's when I watched it twice. They said they're making new universes.
They're making entire universes.
That's what threw me off.
I thought they were doing. I thought they were doing. I thought they were creating like
That's
galaxies,
what
because he creates because Arishem himself established it in the beginning that they were creating life by creating suns, and suns don't create universes.
No,
they create galaxies.
That's my initial thought. That's why I say this makes it even more interesting, because when I watched it twice, and they literally say they make universes. So I was like, okay, so does that mean, all of these breakoffs and what if, do they have their own, what do you call it, celestial in each of those separate timelines? You know what I mean? And is a timeline a universe, or is a timeline a line inside of a universe itself?
They're supposed to be universes themselves. The whole multiverse theory is supposed to go where there are all these different universes, and they all have their alternative versions of Earth and everything, and things are different. They could be drastically different. You could have Thor as a frog, or Thor as an alligator, and stuff like that. And then within that, they can move. The TVA could move through different points in time within the unit. But now with the Kang, bringing all this, it'll be interesting to see, because in theory, wouldn't Kang potentially be, above a celestial? With his technology?
That's what I'm saying. If he's outside of the universes and able to look at them, because the celestial would be inside that universe that it created, right?
Yeah.
Wow, Kang is off the chain, sir. Kang off the chain.
Yeah, right?
Damn. So how powerful is Sylvie right now? Because she's outside of that too, in the nether realm or whatever it's called.
Well, that seemed to have been because of a technicality, right? Right. Her and Loki were with Kang when they made the decision to kill him and ruin ruin everything, essentially. and then and then they came back and it was oops.
That's crazy. I don't know. So it was an okay movie to me. It was a great movie to you. It was cool, man. I appreciate you always having me on these.
Not a great movie to me. 7 out of 10.
So, that's only 3 more to go, bro. So that's great, dog.
That's not a good movie. Not how that works. It's a good movie.
Good movie.
I appreciate you, Doom Killer HD, as always, for stopping by. Guys, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe if you're new, check the links in the description, subscribe to Doom Killer HD. You already know. We'll be back for more reviews in the future, for sure. We got to do the Spider-Man No Way Home, of course.
Woo! I'm looking forward to that.
And we're also going to be doing the new Hawkeye show, so definitely definitely look out for that. We got
our co-host too. We got a new co-host that we're going to be introducing too. Yes, so that's going to be pretty fun, man. Miss Jackie is an awesome chick, so be on the lookout for that.
So check that out on Doom's channel. And we're aware of Spider-Man.
We know, guys. As soon as this is over.
I made a community post about it. So if you guys didn't see it yet, go over and check it out. I'll probably be doing a live stream. Well, it's Thursday, so I'll be doing a live stream tomorrow where they show off the IGN trailer and the usual marketplace reaction stuff. All right.
Have a good one, people.
Thank you, always.
Let the good times roll.
Sadot the Gamer, we out.
Peace.